Hey everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this week's reading vlog. So, it's about 1 in the morning on the 9th, so it's technically day 2 of this week's reading vlog, but I was not feeling filming earlier, and Cielo is coming. I don't know where she came from, but not allowed to film without her. Ooh. And today was a bit crazy. I actually started the day getting woken up to approve the people from SSI to talk to my mom so that they could reschedule the doctor's appointment that I told you about at the end of the last vlog. And instead of having it in June, I'm having it next week. So that was some really, really good news. But now I'm very, very anxious for that because I always worry that, like, I know I have these issues and I know how much they affect my life, but I always worry that I'm not going to be able to get it across to the stranger I've never spoken to before in the very short window of time I have to speak with them. So we will see how that goes. Book-wise, at the end of the last video, I figured I was in 7 books and I said I was probably going to pick up something else. I was right. I picked up Something Red, Something Dead. I am on page 113, so I made a little bit of progress in this. Like I said, today was crazy. I did not do much reading today. The other update I have is that I read some more of Becoming, and I can officially say, because I double-checked this time, I am on page 340. So hopefully I will finish that this week, and I can get into some other stuff. But I wanted to kick this vlog off, start this video, and let you know that I had indeed started another book. But I should be finishing that relatively quickly because this is the kind of book I want to read. So, I'm going to go because I don't want to fight with her any more than I absolutely have to. And I'm actually very tired, so I'm hoping to go to bed soon. But I will hopefully do better about checking in this week, and I will get back to you soon. So it is now Thursday, and I thought I would check in because I've actually read some stuff. I'm still feeling a bit meh about reading, but I'm trying to get through it, and with the upcoming weekend of Peace Talks, I'm really hoping I can get my mojo back. But on to what I've read in the last few days. First, I'm going to mention that I read The Dog Who Knew Too Much, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. This is the next book in the Paws and Claws mystery series, and in this series we follow Holly? Yes. Holly, who owns a pet-friendly inn with her grandma. And she has a very cute dog named Trixie and a very cute kitty named Twinkletoes. And this one has a lot going on. So there are some missing dogs that look to have been kidnapped. Trixie ends up stumbling across another dead body. And a man shows up claiming to be Trixie's owner. Because in the first book, when Holly gets Trixie, she kind of finds a lost dog kind of a situation. So Holly is dealing with quite a lot in this book because there's just a lot of mysteries going on. And at the same time, they have visiting the inn the cast of this new TV show with a very famous dog named Pippin. And I just really, 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 really loved all the mystery that was in this book because I had no idea what was going on at all because it was just absolutely crazy because they had, like I said, they had like the dog napping and they had the dead body and then they had this guy show up and here is Cielo, who may or may not be Trixie's owner. And it just meant there was a lot of chaos and you were trying to figure out if if any of these bits and pieces were in any way, shape, or form connected, or if Holly was trying to solve multiple mysteries at once. And it just really made for such an interesting read. I think by far this is my favorite in the series so far. And it makes me very excited to see what happens in the next book, to see if we kind of continue with the mystery style that we got in this one. Next, I'm going to talk about the fact that I finished Blackmail and Babinka. This is the third book in the Tita Rosie's Kitchen mystery series. Cielo is once again helping. This was another one I gave 4.5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this one as well. Lila's cousin, Ronnie, shows back up, and he has this idea for a winery, and he's brought his business partners with him and a potential investor. And unfortunately, when somebody dies, her cousin gets wrapped up in the murder, and so Lila has to look into things to see if her cousin did it. One of the things I love about the series is that at the very beginning, there's an author's note that includes content warnings. So I would share them with you, but Cielo's got my other hand, and it's going to be very hard to open this book with one hand. But I think that is such a good addition to the series because it lets you know kind of what triggers might be in the book before you pick it up. I like these ones because they're a lot more hard-hitting than usual cozy mysteries. And I like that you can kind of see the effects of the previous books play into each of the subsequent books. So, yeah. And with this mystery and the dead body and her cousin, I never figured out at all who done it. Like, I was completely like, I have zero clue. But, like, with hindsight, it makes sense. Like, it wasn't one of those where, like, there's no way you could have figured it out. It was more of it was written so well that I was constantly kept guessing. I liked seeing how Ronnie showing back up really affected the family dynamics because family is extremely important in this series. And this was just another great addition to the series. And while it's Christmas time, in the book, it didn't have tons of Christmassy vibes either. So I was really, really worried that given that we're just starting to hit spring here and it's starting to get warm, that would drag down my enjoyment of the book because I wouldn't be in the mood for a Christmassy read. But there wasn't too many Christmassy vibes. So I did enjoy the fact that it didn't have the Christmassy vibes. So if you're picking up this book hoping for Christmassy vibes, it didn't have tons of those. But this was just another brilliant addition to the series, and I'm very happy to say that she mentions in the author's note, the author does, that we'll be getting at least 3 more books of this series, so very exciting news there. Next, I'm going to talk about the fact that I read The Lost Hero, which is the first book in the Heroes of Olympus series, and this is a reread for me, and this is another 4.5 star book. In this book, we're following a group of new characters. We have 3 different POVs, and it's kind of like in the original Percy Jackson series, we have Percy, Annabeth, and Grover, but I believe everything is told from Percy's point of view. You would think I would know, considering I just read it and it was a reread, but I'm pretty sure everything is told from Percy's point of view. But in this one, we get Jason, Piper, and Leo, and those are our 3 main characters. And Jason shows up with 0 memory as to who he is. And Piper and Leo seem to know Jason, even though Jason has no memory of them. And they end up making their way to Camp Half-Blood. And shenanigans ensue from there, and they have to go on a quest like Percy does, and it's just really, really interesting to see how this arc starts and how it ties into the greater world of the Percy Jackson universe. I think I enjoyed this book much more on my reread than I did the first time I read it, because I have a much bigger appreciation for the series, and I am very excited to dive into The Son of Neptune this month as well, because I am quite looking forward to my reread, given how much I enjoyed this one upon reread. I finished Becoming by Michelle Obama, and I gave this book 5 stars. This is basically her, like, autobiography, and it really gives a fascinating glimpse into her life. Growing up, becoming an adult, developing friendships, meeting Barack, falling in love with Barack, having kids with Barack, and just being, you know, the wife of a political figure who eventually becomes president. And I really, really enjoyed the way she told her story, Cielo Get Down, and how this kind of played out. It was absolutely fascinating and just reminded me multiple times that while she and Barack were president and first lady, they were still first and foremost people. They had families and loved ones and kids, and they are real human beings behind what you see on TV. And there were just some really interesting looks at that at different moments in their lives where they needed to take a second, and it was far more important that they were, you know, Sasha Malia's parents, or that she was, you know, Barack's wife, or just Michelle, the human being, than the First Lady of the United States. So it was absolutely fascinating look at her life, and it was written really intriguingly. Like, it definitely kept me invested. So highly, highly recommend this book. It was just absolutely brilliant, and was a very different look at Michelle, and I have a completely different perspective on her and her life. And yeah, it was just absolutely fascinating. And then the last book I finished is Something Red, Something Dead by Eva Gates. This is the next book in the Lighthouse Library Mystery series. I gave this one 4.25 stars. We're getting ready for Lucy's cousin's wedding, and some unwanted family shows up in town and tries to derail her wedding. And when one of those family members turns up dead, Josie becomes the prime suspect. So Lucy gets involved to try to clear her name. My helpful little peanut. Will you land somewhere, anywhere? I tried to film this with her in the living room, and it was going great, and then my dad let her down the hallway. I purposely tried to film without her today because it's too hot for her to be climbing all over me. Anyways, so basically Lucy gets involved trying to clear her cousin's name. I really enjoyed this one as well. The mystery kept me guessing. Again, not a biggest fan of the personal relationship Lucy has, but I'm still really, really enjoying the mystery, and this one was quite the different twist because she was looking into it on her cousin's behalf and trying to figure out kind of, you know, a family matter. And there were some interesting characters that we got to meet as part of, you know, Josie's family. So still really, 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 really loving the series and the mystery aspect of this series. So looking forward to continuing it next month. The only other update I have, because I don't think I've picked up any, I think I might have read a few more chapters in Poison and Potato Salad. But the only other update I have is that I've started Ship of Magic. I got to page 70 last night, so again, just barely started it, but I am already intrigued and so excited to be back in the realm of the Elderlings and continuing on with the series. So hopefully I can finish this sooner rather than later, though. Probably not in this vlog, because I only have, you know, the rest of today and then tomorrow, and I think it would take me like 8 hours to finish this book, and I don't know that I'm going to find 8 hours, especially considering this is overdue from the library, so I want to finish this first. But I did want to mention that I started this, and then, of course, I have Peace Talks this weekend, so I will be reading faster books for Peace Talks. So that is my update. I'm making some decent progress, but maybe not as much progress as I would like. We'll see if I can get some mojo back, but yeah, I wanted to give you all an update and let you know how I was doing since last week. I did horrible at checking in. We'll see. I also have my appointment with the doctor for SSI tomorrow, so that could affect my reading levels as well, because anxiety is a pain in the ass. And now I've got cats hissing at each other in the background, so I think that's my cue to go. So I will check back in with you either probably tomorrow night or Saturday morning, more likely, and wrap this vlog up. So it is officially the 15th, which means it is time to wrap this vlog up. So I had my appointment this morning and, well, I just don't feel like it went well. I don't feel like I was able to articulate just how hard it is living with this, but my dad said maybe the only questions I asked were the ones I needed a little bit of clarification on because I filled out a bunch of paperwork, so try not to, you know, stress too much. So that's what we're going to do. Last night, I finished Poison and Potato Salad, and I'm going to give this 3.5 stars. It wasn't my favorite cozy mystery, but I feel like it could have some potential. And there was definitely some stuff at the end that made me very, very intrigued as to what was going to happen in book 2. So I'm willing to continue this series and see where it goes from here. I did eventually figure out who the killer was, though I did not quite nab that at first. I don't know if I've mentioned that in this vlog. I've been editing vlogs lately, so I know I've talked about it, but I don't know if I've talked about it in this vlog. But basically, we're following, and I'm not going to be able to remember her name. And it's an ebook, so I can't look. So we're following Poppy, maybe? We'll go with Poppy. If not, I'll pop the name up here. So Poppy used to be an actress, and she has recently discovered she's a witch, and she heads home, and she was raised by her aunt. And she ends up being a guest host for a beauty pageant, and kind of the organizer of the beauty pageant ends up dying and falling face first into the potato salad. So she ends up investigating, trying to figure out who killed the director. I haven't had this cat give me any attention at all today, not till I sat down to film. She could have cared less about me all day. Anyways, so we were just basically following her as she tries to figure out the magic stuff and figure out the mystery. So, like I said, it's the first book. I think it has potential. We'll see where the series goes and if I want to continue it. Stop, Cielo. I know your adoring fans would miss you if you weren't here, but jeez, it would be nice to film one vlog clip without you biting me, scratching me, sliding on my lap and digging your claws. And it would be really, really nice to come out of this without bleeding. I swear, every time this happens, I end up bleeding because she's poked holes in me or chewed on me or slid off my lap. And now I'm knocking my own books on the floor because she had knocked the pile loose. Okay, the only other update I have is that I finished City of Brass. So this was a reread, and the first time I read it, I gave it 3.5 stars. This time I'm giving it 4.5. There's a lot to be said about reading it when you're far more into fantasy and you are listening to the audiobook with a physical book nearby, as opposed to the first time I did it when I wasn't really into these kinds of fantasies and I was exclusively listening to the audiobook and just spent a lot of time confused. So this book follows 2 points of view. We have Nari, who basically never believed in magic, kind of grew up as an orphan on her own, and ends up accidentally summoning Dara, who is a Jinn warrior, and he informs her that there is this mythical city named Davabad and that he really needs to bring her there. And the other point of view is Ali, who is the prince of Davabad, and we end up seeing them kind of meet. And Ali has his own stuff going on. Like, he has a lot of different ideas to what is kind of the norm for his people. And I think she might lie down. So he has a lot of different ideas about the norms of his people, and he's kind of working in secret to help some of the people that he feels are being shortchanged by his kingdom. And when Nari shows up, everything kind of goes sideways and some quite interesting things happen. So I really, really enjoyed my reread of this, and I can tell you I did not remember most of it. So I'm really glad I decided to reread it before going on to book 2, which I hope to do next month, because Like I said, I really enjoy my reread of this. So that's it for this week. Nowhere near as much reading as I'd hoped to do, but I have some very big plans for this weekend in the Peace Talk, so we'll see if that happens. But that's it for this vlog. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you made it this far in the video, leave me the fingers crossed emoji in hopes that my appointment went better than I thought it did. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!